Good evening. Today is Tuesday, April the 19th, and we are continuing our viewing of the live interview with Miss Jaclyn, who is a child, teen, and adult mental health counselor. We are examining the teen experience with sexual abuse. We hope that you have found this information useful. And we also wanted to remind you that God's Symphony is here for you. And we look forward to taking this journey toward the healing that God has purposed for His children with you. You can reach us on our website. You can email us, or you can send us a text. All the contact information is available on our website. The last slide that will show in tonight's video will be our contact page information. So please feel free to reach out to us and just let us know that you're here. Let us know how we can be of assistance to you. And especially let us know if you'd like to join us on this journey towards the healing that God has purposed for His children. Thank you, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye. I think our last question, our topics, is what advice would you give to a woman who suffered sexual abuse as a child or teen but has not gotten the help they need to heal? Is acting if it never happened a productive response?
I can't tell a person what is productive for them. I can tell you this, and a person wanted me to tell you this and make it known. It is hard right now to find a mental health counselor. It is hard. But when you do, and you find somebody that you trust, make sure that you know, first of all, you've already taken the first step.
Which is a major step.
That is, yes. And you're not a victim. You're a survivor of sexual assault.
Yes.
You're not a victim. You're a survivor. You have went through this. You have overcame this.
You made it to this point.
Yes. Is there work to be done? Yes, there's work to be done. When you disassociate and you say, pretend like it's never happened, what that is a protection. It's even with trauma, period, and I tell people this, in very traumatic situations, almost use it like a glove. There's a part of our brain that covers up the trauma. And that's why most children and most survivors say, I don't remember what happened.
Right.
I don't, I'm having these snippets. Did it really happen? It's not that you don't remember. Your mind is trying to protect yourself from that trauma, so your body does not go through that trauma again.
Right.
So that's what it is. And if I can give you any advice, when you're ready to tell your story, because not everybody deserves your story. Not everybody
can handle your story. Not even your best friend.
Yes.
God has to lead you to that person, and I pray that God gives us that person that can handle, because it's an awesome experience to share.
Yes.
But not everybody deserves to hear your story, because not everybody wants what's good for you.
Thank you.
And we have to know that.
And when I say that, I am talking about a police officer too. If you are a survivor of sexual assault, try and find a sane nurse, someone who is working with women of sexual abuse, because every question that is asked does not need to be answered, and you don't need to re-traumatize that person.
Right.
When they're ready to tell what happened, they will share what happened.
Yeah.
And don't ever tell a person who says that they feel guilt, don't ever tell them, and I had to learn this, it's not your fault, it's not your fault, it's not your fault. Because no matter how many times you say it, until they believe it, it's gonna be there. Your job is to listen and to assist. Your job is not to fix. God's job is to fix. You listen, you be there, and you hold them in that space.
You give them a safe space.
Yes.
In which to explore their thoughts, because as you say, the brain does protect. And I mean, I don't remember much of my life between the ages of 13 and 18. I remember key events, like I remember turning 16. I remember graduating, preparing to graduate. I was in a debutante ball and all that stuff. So I remember those things. Mm-hmm. But even when I speak to friends that I went to high school with, the people that I was with during this time, they remember day-to-day stuff. Yep. And I'm just like amazed. I mean, I know not everyone has like a really great memory, but I don't remember any of the stuff they're talking about until they started mentioning it. And then I'm just sitting in awe, like, you can remember the day-to-day stuff. Yeah. You are so lucky. I mean, that's just how I feel, because it's a gray area. But I later while studying, I learned that that's one of the things that the brain does to protect us.
It does.
And then with that, we allow God in the healing process, in His time, and a time that works with us at what we remember.
Yes.
Because even as we're going through the God Symphony process, we have to remind ourselves that it takes time for us to trust not others, but to trust ourselves.
Yes. Yeah. And that's you will have, most people say, I have dreams, and I have a family member to this day that I say, I remember this, and, did this happen? I'm like, yeah, we did end up going through group therapy, and, I can't remember they couldn't remember exactly what was said, but they remember puppets.
Right.
And so the memory in this person is almost in their 40s, and this happened when they were 5. So snippets will come back throughout your life. I never want to say that I don't like when people say get over it. No, let's go through it.
Right. Because it's just, because for me and some of the women I encounter, and like you said, and men, they tried to get over it. And where they are now is not a place they want to be.
No.
And this is what happened because they were trying to get over it. We talked about in one of our sessions about the ways in which we try to deal with the abuse. Some people, like you said, disassociate. Some people self-harm. Then you have people whose response was just to give way to what was happening to them, and because they felt that that's all their value was in life. And so that they just went all the way in on it and became, extremely promiscuous and so forth, not realizing that they were more than what happened to them. They have a value. They are valuable.
Yeah.
And that sex is not your value.
No, it's not. And that's why when we walk through life sometimes and we look at people and we're like, oh my gosh, why does she have such an attitude? And you never know what that person is
not
going
know a person's story.
Never. And if I could leave with anything, believe the child. If you have children that are coming to you and telling you, so-and-so is touching me, or I don't feel comfortable around this person, children don't have a reason to lie about sexual acts. And even if they are saying that and you're like, okay, I know nothing happened, you don't know what they've seen or what they've been exposed to. So believe the child. You're always taught, believe the survivor. Believe the survivor.
Yeah. Because I found, even when people are not being completely truthful in what they're saying, there's a reason that they're even in that space. So even if someone is not telling the whole truth, I still want to hear, because there's a reason behind it. Nothing just happens. We don't just happen.
No.
We are our past. You know what I mean? It's like we are the person we are today because of the things we've experienced. Now, the negative things that have happened to us, we do determine how it shapes our future or what impact it has going forward. We had no control over what someone took from us.
No.
But I'm learning that I have control
Yes.
over how I allow what that person did, how it controls the rest of my life, the impact and the power it has. And one of the things we talk about is telling your story, sharing your story, is because in silence, one of the things that the perpetrator does while it's happening is they'll tell you to shh, keep a secret. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
And keeping it a secret has a power over you because you're bound by it. Sharing. Sometimes I've had clients come in one session and they unloaded everything in that session, and at the end I'm like, do you want to schedule another? No, I actually think I'm okay, because they just need to get it out.
Yes, and have someone listen.
Just listen, because like you said, we can't fix it.
No, listening. Listen. We have 2 ears, 1 mouth.
Right.
Listen twice as much as you talk.
Yes.
And I had to learn that, to listen.
Yes. I have had clients, I say, you know what, sweetie, if you just want to come see me every week and just talk.
Yes.
Come on.
There's value in that.
There's value in being heard.
Yes. And that's the biggest part.
The value
If someone hears me.
Somebody, they can't walk in my shoes.
No.
They cannot live my life for me, but they heard me.
Yeah. And we have to be careful we give sympathy to. There's a difference between sympathy and empathy, because not everybody wants your sympathy. Don't feel sorry for me. Empathize with me. Like you said, you can never walk in my shoes, but you can walk beside me.
And it took a long time. I tell people that yes, being sexually abused was probably one of the worst things that I feel could ever happen to a person, because it has such a great or significant impact in your life. But at the same time, I now can say, as Paul says, I was glad that I was infirmed, because I like who I've become.
Yeah.
I fought hard, but I like me. And I know I wouldn't be all the person that I am if I not have had that experience.
Yeah.
Or because one of my main counseling business is pos synergio, which means all things work together. The basis of that is Romans 8:28, because God is at work in all things. And I have learned, and I can bear witness in my own life, how God can take something that the enemy meant for bad, and he works that thing to where it becomes for our good. I didn't understand that.
Yes.
But the reason I didn't give up when I was 19 and was contemplating taking my life was because a pastor at service read in their sermon, Romans 8:28. And I decided, thinking my mom had taught me that the Bible, that God's word was true and we could rely on it.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, then let me see, God, how you gonna be at work in this thing.
Yeah.
And so, because I told God, I said, I double dog dare you to make this thing somehow use it for my good and your glory. I think your glory I could get, but my good, really?
He'll do it.
He did.
Yes.
He does.
Yes.
And for the whole reason that God's symphony is here is because God is at work in all things. That's what God's symphony represents, is God's work, his orchestration of our lives, and how we are singing. Our life is his song that he's writing.
Yes, that is so true. And when you get over, you go back and you grab somebody else. That's the biggest part.
I became a counselor
Yes.
because I had a counselor that helped me when I needed help.
Yes.
And so that's why I became a counselor, because I wanted to allow God to use what happened to me to help someone else, because it wasn't just for me. He carried me through that. but he carried me so that I could help someone. Go back, you said, go back and get someone.
Yes.
If I got to get one person at a time, I will go back and get one person, one woman at the grocery store, listening to her talk.
Yeah, it's no accident. I used to kind of shun people away when it comes to me with sexual abuse and physical abuse in a marriage, and I'm like, okay, I went through it for a reason. So I can tell somebody how I got over and then pull somebody along.
I had a client one time I saw her one time. We kept in contact though afterwards. She was like 60 something. And she was watching the news about a coach in Pennsylvania who had been brought up on charges for molesting his sports team or something way back.
Yeah.
Watching the news, watching all of that happen, it triggered a memory of an experience she had. Now this woman was like 64, 65. It triggered a memory of something that happened to her when she was 12. And so her best friend brought her in for counseling.
Mm.
This woman was married, had grown children, had grandchildren, did not think that what happened to her at 12 had impacted her life in any way. Her friend brought her in, sat outside while she came in, and she had difficulty talking. She explained what happened when she was 12, but she couldn't put into words anything beyond that. So we sat and I talked and I said, you feel this, you question this, your body does this, and just we were just having this conversation. And she asked me, she said, how did you know? And I said, because I went through it.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, wow. To have someone else, even though their experience, it was different than yours, but to have them to have an understanding, even in the little bit, about what you experienced, that's liberating.
Yes.
That is life-giving. Because one of the things about sexual abuse in general, sexual abuse as well, is that it isolates you.
And
it makes you
alone.
feel like you're the only one who feels this, experiences that. But when you just find someone that you encounter by chance, like I said, I saw this woman once. We kept in contact because I check on her, and she'll say, thank you so very much. She said, that one conversation changed my life.
Mm.
I don't know, I didn't ask her how or whatever, but that's what she said. And just knowing somebody understands.
Yes.
And you said not sympathy, because I don't want you to feel sorry for
right,
me.
no. But the empathy, it's not being, when you get closed off and alone, you give way to the enemy to speak to you.
Yes.
But when you get around other people who love God and who know God, and you allow, not only God to speak to you, but you get these affirmations from other people, that voice that's inside of you, that where you were closed up, is not the same anymore, because you've reached out.
Right.
So you have these different voices in you, and then you have to not only you hear that word and then you read that word.
Right.
So that's just affirmation.
And it gives you power.
Yes.
It gives you power to tell the enemy,
Speak to him.
get behind me. My bad. You had me thinking all these years that I was a nobody, that I didn't matter, that I didn't count, or that I was only good for this thing. But now I know the truth.
Yes. Yes.
So you can't have me. You can't keep me isolated. You can't isolate me and help make me feel alone in this world any longer, because I'm not alone. I'm not alone.
That's
and to know that. One of the greatest joys I have with God's Symphony is that I'm with a group of women that a lot of times they're just sitting there nodding, like, okay, I got it, yeah. Yep. When you're sharing your experience or your story, they're just like, yeah. And you start to become more confident.
Yeah.
Because you didn't make it up.
Yeah.
You didn't it's a horrible thing, but it wasn't a horrible dream. It really did happen.
Yes.
But that's not the end. One of the things, there's a segment in our sessions that's called Let's Talk About It, where I present quotes, things that I saw in a movie. I'll do snippets from a movie or from a book. And one of the most recent ones said, sexual abuse was something that happened to me. It did not shape me.
No.
I thought that was like one of them drop the mic moments. I was like, that's it. It is something that happened to me.
Right.
But glory be to God, it has not shaped me. Because I was made by an awesome creator that saw some things and he designed some special things about me. And they're good. They're good. And I appreciate that.
That's good.
Thank you. Any parting words? Are we good?
No, thank you. I enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thank you, Miss Jaclyn. We so appreciate that you took the time to be with us and to help us further understand and acknowledge the impact of sexual abuse in our lives. So if you or someone you know needs help along this journey towards the healing that God desires for you, please check us out. Our contact information is below, and we're here to help you. We are an ear to hear, but we are a hand to hold and a hand to help as you take this journey towards healing. I wish you the best. And I'll see you next time on God's Symphony Live. Bye.